The most dangerous place for a woman in America can often be within her own home. Now, the city's Department of Family and Support Services reports more than 3 women are killed by a partner or a spouse a day in the United States. Now, many of us have been touched by it. We either know someone who has been the victim of domestic violence or we've seen it unfold before our very own eyes. We're actually about 5 minutes away from Mercy Hospital. Why is that?
I think it's a little too soon for me to go back there voluntarily. Went back there for the vigil last night, and that was pretty tough. So prefer to kind of stay, away from their campus.
November 19th, 2018, the Mercy Hospital shooting.
It was really tough, and obviously I was in shock for a few hours after that.
What started off as a regular workday for Dr. John Puracal ended in him trying to save the life of a dear friend.
It's a lot to take in when someone is going through any sort of tragedy, but especially when they're affected by one.
Dr. Tamara O'Neal was shot in the parking lot of Mercy Hospital by her ex-fiancé. The shooter, 32-year-old Juan Lopez, went inside the hospital, spraying the lobby with bullets. The aftermath: Dr. Tamara O'Neal, CPD Officer Samuel Jimenez, and pharmaceutical assistant Dayna Less killed. Eventually, Lopez was fatally shot. Dr. Puracal says Dr. O'Neal never really talked about Lopez.
I knew that they had kind of called things off, but that was the extent of it.
This silence is part of the plague affecting our communities.
No one starts out a relationship where there's violence right off the bat, right? So initially these people are very charming, very loving, very caring, very attentive, and they suck you in right away.
Family law attorney Katherine Johnson Isdale and psychiatrist Dr. Faraz Naqshbandi explain what goes on in a victim's mind.
Because of their abuser's influence, that they are the cause and that they are in control, that it's their fault.
If they've made the decision to leave, that's when the perpetrator is going to start really upping it up, and things can get very dangerous very quickly.
When it comes to the perpetrator, owning a gun can be a red flag.
If there's a gun present in your home, you are 500 times more likely to be the victim of a homicide as part of a domestic abuse scenario.
If you are someone who's prone to rage, and these people are prone to rage, not necessarily thinking things through, they're not necessarily having a rational thought process. So if I'm in that state where I'm seeing red, and then there's a gun in front of me, what do you think is going to happen?
The Mercy Hospital shooting was the fuel that ignited Dr. Puracal and his colleagues to start a research fund for women affected by gun violence.
We were able to raise over $100,000 for research. We have plenty of capable researchers who want to do this type of work, but it's because it's not funded and it's not recognized on a national government level, we have to kind of do it on our own.
There's also a need for younger generations to get involved.
We absolutely need more mental health professionals.
And even in the mix of grief and abuse, there's hope.
I will say to family members that are out there listening, you need to hang in there. At some point, they will feel confident enough to break away.
Deanna, I'm glad you did this story. There's so much to talk about when it comes to domestic violence. It really kind of hits close to home because I know my mom, my sister, both were affected by this as well. And there are some rights that domestic violence survivors need to know.
That's right, Brandon. Like I said earlier, we've all been touched by this, but there are certainly a lot of things that many people don't know about. So the attorney that I spoke with, Katherine Johnson Isdale, was the one who brought to light a couple rights, right? A couple facts that people don't necessarily know. So if we take a look here, one, when you get an order of protection, it prohibits the individual to communicate with you and even protects the entire environment around you, right? So everything from walking to and from your car, to and from work, all of that is all protected. 2, you have the right to file for divorce. And if you're not married, you can file petitions that would absolutely protect your children. 3, your employment is protected if you need to take time off to manage any type of domestic violence situation. And 4, under certain domestic violence circumstances, you can break your lease if needed. So that's something that I didn't even know, that you can definitely break a lease and get out of that situation.